It was just past midnight when a loud knock shook our apartment door. I froze. My husband, Ryan, leapt off the couch and rushed to open it. Standing there was Grace, our neighbor, holding her daughter Samantha in her trembling arms. Sam was burning up, her cheeks flushed, eyes barely open. Without a word, Ryan scooped the little girl into his arms and bolted down the stairwell toward the hospital. And I stood in the hallway, staring at the door he left wide open behind him. My own son, Tyler, was lying in bed with a blazing fever, gasping for air, and still found the strength to whisper through the pain, "Mom, don't blame Dad. Sam's fragile, I can handle this." I clenched my fists. That sentence, those exact words, I had heard before, in my last life. Back then, I was the one carrying Tyler on my back at 2 a.m. down 8 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken. I was 51, barely 100 pounds, and my knees shook with every step. But I didn't stop, because my son was burning up and no one else gave a damn. Not Ryan, not Grace, and not even Tyler, who had already learned to put everyone's comfort above his own. At the ER that night, while Tyler lay hooked up to an IV, I finally went to the bathroom to wipe the blood off my gums from the exhaustion. When I returned, I overheard them, Ryan and Tyler, talking. "Dad, you made sure Sam and Ms. Grace are okay, right?" Tyler had asked. "Yeah, bud, they're fine," Ryan replied, stroking his head. "You were really brave tonight. Helping others is a virtue. I'm proud of you." That was the moment I broke. I had given everything, my career, my body, my sleep, my money, for this family. And still, I was the selfish one. Still, I was the problem. I had stormed into that hospital room and slapped Ryan across the face. "How dare you compare me to her?" I had screamed, but it didn't matter. Tyler said I wasn't as kind as Ms. Grace. Ryan told me to stop being dramatic. And when I finally asked for a divorce, they both looked at me like I was insane. "You're abandoning your family over a little misunderstanding," Ryan said. "You're not even trying to be a good mom," Tyler added. I cried myself to sleep so many nights after that. Eventually, I got sick. A small, benign tumor in my breast went undetected. No one noticed I was even ill until it became cancer. I died alone on the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival while my husband and son were laughing in Grace's kitchen. But this time I've come back. Same people, same apartment, same staircase, same fever, different me. As Ryan rushed off with Samantha again and Tyler whispered his heroic little lines again, I simply turned away. "If you can handle it, then handle it," I said coldly, walking to the bedroom. "Mom's going to sleep." "Mom, I really don't feel good," Tyler whimpered behind me. "I'm burning up." My voice was ice. "Take a cold shower." His eyes widened, disbelieving. "That'll make it worse, don't you care?" Care? In my last life, I cared myself into an early grave. I asked Ryan to take Tyler to the hospital, and he told me Sam came first. I let it slide. I let them all slide. Not anymore. This time, I'll let the ones who made the mess clean it up. This time, I choose me. I sat on the edge of Tyler's bed, watching him squirm under the blanket, his skin flushed red, his forehead slick with sweat. The virus that had been sweeping through Austin was vicious this year. Pneumonia cases were climbing every day on the local news. And yet, here I was, scrolling through my phone, completely detached. "Mom, please." Tyler mumbled, voice raspy. I don't feel good." I looked at the time. 2:14 a.m., still no sign of Ryan. That was no surprise. In my past life, he hadn't returned either, not until morning. He assumed, no, expected I'd handle it. That I'd break and carry Tyler on my back again. He bet on my guilt, my love, my desperation. But this time, I wasn't that woman anymore. "You said you're a man, right?" I said, keeping my voice neutral. "You can endure a little fever until your dad gets back." Tyler's eyes welled with tears. "But Mom, I'm scared. Please take me to the hospital." My chest tightened, instinct clawing at me, but I pushed it down. Hard. Where was that concern when he told me I wasn't kind like Ms. Grace? Where was that loyalty when he defended Ryan abandoning him for another woman's child? He had made his choice. So had I still, I didn't want to be reckless. "Fine," I said. "We'll wait." If your dad isn't back in 15 minutes, I'll call an ambulance. But I'm not dragging you down those stairs again. The elevator had been out of service for weeks, and Tyler wasn't getting any lighter. He nodded slowly, trying to be brave again, even as he shook from the fever. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Ryan still hadn't called. Finally, Tyler reached out and took my phone with trembling fingers. "I'll call him," he said. He dialed and put the phone to his ear. "Dad," his voice cracked. "Come home, please. Mom won't take me to the hospital. I think I'm dying." He handed the phone back to me, then turned to the side, groaning. Ryan's voice burst through the speaker a moment later. "What the hell is wrong with you, Sharon? He's burning up and you're just sitting there." I kept the phone at arm's length, letting his rage spill into the air. Once he paused, I answered calmly, "And where exactly are you, Ryan?" "The hospital is less than 2 miles away. You left an hour ago." Silence, then a soft female voice in the background. "Ryan, Sam's okay now. You can go home." But honestly, I don't think Sharon's behavior is appropriate. It was Grace. I almost laughed. "Let me make this simple," I said. "You better come home now. If Tyler's condition worsens, don't you dare think I'll be the one cleaning up the mess." I ended the call. 15 minutes later, Ryan stormed into the apartment carrying Tyler in his arms like some knight in shining armor. He didn't even look at me, just barked, "Go call a cab and follow us. Learn how to be a real mother." He left, I didn't. I went to bed. The next morning, I woke up refreshed, stretched, and made myself coffee. There were 15 missed calls and a string of texts from Ryan that I ignored. Finally, I replied with a single message: "I'll drop by the hospital later." The phone rang again. I answered and put it on speaker. His voice was hoarse and furious. "Do you even care what I went through last night?" Grace was helping. I was overwhelmed. Tyler was scared out of his mind. I sipped my coffee and opened my tablet to order groceries. "Isn't helping people a virtue, Ryan? That's what you've always preached." He paused. "You're unbelievable," he muttered. "No," I said, smiling faintly. "I'm awake." Before he could say more, I hung up. I had bigger things to do than listen to the man who had treated my loyalty like a leash. Later that afternoon, I picked up lunch and headed to the hospital, not out of guilt, but to tie up loose ends. When I entered the room, I found Grace there, feeding Tyler a spoonful of rice with shrimp. My son was allergic to seafood. "Tyler's allergic to shellfish," I said quietly. Grace froze, the spoon trembling in midair. In a panic, she dropped it, shrimp landing on the sheets. In her flustered attempt to clean up, she bumped Tyler's IV line, ripping it from his hand. Blood started to seep through the gauze. Tyler yelped. Grace gasped. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Tyler, are you okay? I'll blow on it for you." She bent down to kiss his hand, but I stepped between them. "Stop, you'll infect the wound." My voice was cold, firm. The same voice I used to lack in my past life. Grace's eyes filled with tears, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean it. I was just trying to help." Tyler looked at me with disgust. "Why are you being so mean to her? She's been here all night. Where were you?" I exhaled slowly. This was the boy I raised. The boy I once carried down the stairs at 2 a.m., the boy who never saw the cost of my love. I placed the food I brought on the table. "Here's liver porridge," I said, "and some for you too, Grace. You'll need the energy. Since you like playing mother, you can keep doing it until Ryan gets off work." I turned to leave but paused at the door. "Oh, and the nurse will come in soon. Tyler's veins are too shallow. Make sure they use the foot this time. He's not supposed to move." With that, I walked out, shutting the door on the chaos behind me. And for the first time in years, I felt free. I sat at a quiet cafe on South Congress, the kind with brick walls and hanging Edison bulbs, stirring a cappuccino that had long gone cold. I wasn't here for the coffee. He walked in right on time, Matthew Carter. Same sharp jawline, same calm confidence, but now with a crisp blazer and a presence that filled the room. He spotted me, smiled faintly, and made his way over. "Sharon," he said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Long time." I nodded, too long. He waited a moment, then asked the question I knew would come. "So, what's going on?" I exhaled. "I'm ready to come back. I want to work." He didn't blink. "After 10 years. "I know," I said quickly. I gave it all up for marriage, for motherhood, but I'm not asking to jump back in like nothing's changed. I just need a place to start." He leaned back, arms crossed. "You still remember what you said to me the night before graduation?" Of course I did. Back then, we had dreams, building a consulting firm, working side by side, but I had chosen Ryan instead. Chosen security. Chosen love. Or what I thought was love. I had said, "Matt, I can't do this. I promised Ryan I'd marry him after college. He needs me. We're building a life." I remembered the way Matthew had looked at me then. Disappointed but too decent to argue. Now he was the one with the company, and I was the one asking for help. "I was stupid," I said honestly, "but I'm not here for pity. I want to earn my spot." He smiled just slightly. "You already did," he said. "The money you gave me back then, that helped me start this thing. 10 grand, no strings attached. Most people wouldn't do that." I blinked. I never expected anything in return. "Well," he said, pulling out a tablet and opening a spreadsheet, "that 10 grand turned into a company worth $12 million. Technically, you own 50% of the founding shares." I stared at him. "Matt, I can't just walk in and take half of your company." He shrugged. "Then start small, prove yourself, work your way up like everyone else. But just so you know, you don't need to prove anything to me." The weight in my chest loosened. I reached across the table and shook his hand. "Thank you." He gave me a look that was equal parts gentle and fierce. "Welcome back, Sharon." That afternoon, I walked into Carter & Co. Consulting as a team member. Not a wife, not a mother, not anyone's burden, just me. I hadn't worn heels in years, but I felt every inch taller as I moved through the office. People looked. They always do when someone walks like they know exactly who they are. Back at the hospital, Grace had likely reported everything to Ryan. Maybe she cried. Maybe she twisted the story. I didn't care. Let her believe she had one. Let her feel secure, because that's what makes people reckless. That night, as I prepped my notes for my first onboarding meeting, a text came through from an unknown number. "Thanks for the porridge today. Just letting you know. Ryan said if he'd met me first, he'd never have married you. A Grace." I stared at the message for a moment, then smiled. Perfect. Exactly the kind of arrogance I was waiting for. I didn't reply. I screenshotted it instead and filed it away. Proof always comes in handy when you're laying the foundation for a clean exit and a calculated war. The next morning, Grace dropped off lunch at the office, pretending to be generous. A simple vegetable stir-fry for me, and according to her, a full steak and mashed potatoes meal for Ryan. The difference wasn't subtle. She was trying to humiliate me. But this wasn't the same Sharon she once mocked. "Only vegetables?" I asked, raising an eyebrow as I opened the lunch box. Grace laughed nervously. "I thought you were trying to eat clean. You know, post-30 metabolism and all." I stood up, held up the box for everyone in the shared break room to see, and said calmly, "Grace, I paid you for a meal. This isn't a favor. This is a service. You fed my husband steak and gave me rabbit food. That's not clean eating. That's petty." The room went still. Matthew stepped out of his office. "Is there a problem?" Grace spun to face him, crocodile tears already forming. "No, Mr. Carter, I was just trying to help. Maybe I got the orders mixed up." "Sharon paid you," he said flatly. "Do your job or don't do it at all." Then to me, "Next time, just order in. You don't need to rely on people like her." Grace froze. Humiliated, I watched her scramble to pack up the half-eaten boxes. "I'm sorry," she stammered. I smiled sweetly. "No worries, I know how hard it is to pretend you're something you're not." She left the office red-faced, and I got back to work. For once, I wasn't fighting for love, I was fighting for myself. 2 days passed. Grace had gone silent. No texts, no lunch deliveries, no awkward smiles in the hallway. I assumed she was licking her wounds, but I also knew her type. They never stay quiet for long. Right on cue, at 3:16 p.m., I got a message. "Hi Sharon, just made a big dinner tonight. Would love for you to come by and try my homemade pot roast. Ryan and Tyler will be there too. Hope to see you." I laughed out loud. She actually thought she was queen of the castle already. I didn't reply. Instead, I stopped by a Whole Foods on the way home, picked up a couple of pre-made salads, and headed to what was still, legally and practically, my apartment. When I opened the door, the smell of roasted garlic and red wine sauce filled the air. Grace was fluttering around in an apron, lighting candles like she was hosting Thanksgiving dinner. Tyler was on the couch, playing on a tablet. Ryan was helping Grace in the kitchen. I didn't say a word as I stepped inside and placed my food on the table. "Sharon," Grace chirped, way too cheerful. "I wasn't sure you'd come. Dinner's almost ready. I made your favorite, beef pot roast." I smiled. "That's funny, I don't eat red meat anymore." Her face froze. "Guess I'm just out of the loop," I added. "But since you're already cooking for my husband and son, what's one more plate, right?" Ryan looked up startled. "Sharon, don't make this weird." I walked over to the table, opened my salad container, and began eating calmly. I'm not the one playing domestic goddess in a house I still pay for. Grace's face twitched. "But it's sweet of you to try." "Really," I added, tilting my head toward her. "You're such a thoughtful—" The first thing I did Monday morning was call Jonathan Brooks, my attorney. He was sharp, clean-cut, and had that quiet energy that screamed, "I don't lose." "I want to file for divorce," I told him flatly. He blinked once. "You're sure?" "I've been sure for 10 years. I just wasn't brave enough to admit it." He leaned forward. "Then we'll make sure this ends on your terms." I nodded. "And I want full documentation on Ryan's financial history, phone records, and anything that connects him to Grace Landers." Jonathan gave me a knowing smile. "Already ahead of you. Her name shows up more than once in his recent credit card activity, including 2 hotel charges." Bingo! This time, there would be no sympathy, no crying at the altar of motherhood. Just facts, strategy, and silence. That evening, I walked into our apartment, still mine, still legally under my name, to find Ryan pacing the kitchen. "We need to talk," he said. I dropped my bag calmly. "We do." He held up the divorce papers I'd had delivered to his office earlier. "Are you serious with this?" he snapped. "After everything we've been through." "No, Ryan. After everything I've been through." He scoffed. "You're throwing away a family." "No," I said, stepping closer. "You did, when you prioritized another woman's child over your own, when you let Grace act like the woman of this house, when you taught our son that it's okay to disrespect me." His voice rose. "Tyler loves Grace because she doesn't scream, nag, or act crazy." I held his gaze. She didn't raise him. She didn't carry him, stay up with him, sacrifice for him. She just walked in and played savior. He leaned against the counter, exhaling. "You're acting like this is some big betrayal." "It is," I said, voice low and steady. "But it's not just about you cheating, Ryan. It's about how little you valued me, how quickly you replaced me." Silence, he knew it was true. "You want the apartment?" I asked. "Too bad, it's mine. I have the deed, the receipts, the loan records. You contributed nothing." He didn't argue. "And the car?" "My parents gave that to me before our wedding. You don't get to keep what you never owned." He was still quiet. "As for Tyler," I continued, "I'm not fighting to keep a child who looks at me like I'm the villain just because I stopped being his doormat." "You're not even going to try," he whispered. I walked past him, grabbed a folder from my desk drawer, and laid it on the table. "I already did, for over a decade." The court hearing was fast. Texas didn't need drama to file divorce if one party already had evidence. I had evidence, I had receipts, I had screenshots, I had hotel surveillance footage. Jonathan laid it all out cleanly. Ryan's attorney couldn't argue with the paper trail. Grace's messages were practically begging to be read out loud in court. The judge awarded me the apartment, the car, and, surprisingly, primary custody of Tyler, with the option for him to choose who to live with when he turned 16. Ryan sulked in silence. Tyler sat beside him, arms folded, glancing at me with something between confusion and bitterness. Outside the courtroom, Tyler confronted me. "You're breaking up our family," he said. I stared at my son, this boy who used to crawl into bed beside me after nightmares, and now stood tall with his father's temper in his voice. "No," I said gently. "I'm breaking out of a prison." His jaw tightened. "I want to stay with Dad." My heart cracked, but I didn't show it. You're old enough to choose, and I won't stop you. He blinked. That's it. That's it. Back at home, the home I now had to myself, I stood by the window as movers came and took Ryan's remaining things. He didn't say goodbye. Tyler didn't text. Grace didn't gloat, but I knew they would be back, not out of love, but out of need. The kind of need that only rises when people realize the woman they mistreated was the one holding everything together. Let them, because next time when they came knocking, I wouldn't even open the door. My apartment was quiet now, too quiet, but it was mine. No more arguing over what to eat, no more Grace humming while she chopped vegetables like she lived there, no more Ryan pretending not to notice. Just silence, clean countertops, and the scent of fresh eucalyptus from the diffuser I bought for myself. It was the first time in years I felt peace. And loneliness? That was a price I was more than willing to pay for freedom. At Carter & Co., things were different too. I wasn't just Matt's old college friend anymore. After the divorce went public, thanks to Grace's little outburst at the hospital and Ryan's arrest for disturbing the peace, people stopped whispering about me. They started watching me, closely, and what they saw. A woman who showed up early, led strategy meetings, closed 2 new clients in a week, and never once used her pain as an excuse. Matthew called me into his office one afternoon. "You've been running point on the Westlake project, right?" "Yes." "And you were the one who pitched Sinclair and Reed?" "Also yes." He tossed a folder onto his desk. "Then you're ready for this." I flipped it open. A promotion, partner. I looked up, stunned. He shrugged. "You've earned it, Sharon, not because of our history, but because you're the most relentless, brilliant person I've ever worked with." I blinked back emotion. "Thank you." But what I really wanted to say was, "Thank you for seeing the version of me I forgot existed." That night, after dinner with a few of our team members, I got home to find a message taped to my door. Tyler's handwriting. "Mom, I'm sorry, I miss you. Can we talk?" I stared at the note, heart pounding. This was the boy who told the judge he wanted nothing to do with me, who chose his father and Grace, who parroted Ryan's bitterness like a second skin, and now he wanted to talk. I folded the note carefully and placed it inside a drawer. Maybe one day, but not yet. The next few weeks moved fast. I moved into a new loft closer to the office. Sleek, minimalist, full of light. I donated half of my old things. Ryan had once mocked my love for modern design, soulless, he'd called it. But now, every smooth white wall and black matte fixture felt like an act of reclamation. I also joined a local women in tech mentorship circle, where I met other women who had walked similar paths. Divorced, discarded, reborn. One evening, while sipping wine on the rooftop after a panel event, one of them asked, "What would you tell your younger self if you could?" I answered without thinking, "Don't marry potential, marry respect." They all nodded. We'd all learned that the hard way. Then, just as I was beginning to breathe again, Ryan showed up. At my office. He was thinner, paler, and angry. "I need help," he said. "Grace left, took her daughter and half my savings. Tyler barely speaks to me." I leaned against the wall. "You came to the wrong person." "Please," he said, rubbing his face. "Just talk to Tyler. He won't listen to me. Maybe he'll listen to you." I gave him the freedom to choose, I said. "He chose you, he'll have to live with it." "You're really going to turn your back on your son?" "No," I said calmly. "He turned his back on me. I'm just finally facing forward." Ryan opened his mouth but said nothing. For the first time, he looked like he understood what he'd lost. Not just a wife, but a woman who could have made him better if he had let her. That night, I got a call from Tyler's school. He'd been caught fighting. He'd broken another student's nose. And when asked why, he said he didn't know. I did. He was angry, confused, broken in ways I couldn't fix. But I wasn't going to rush in and save him anymore. Because saving people who never learned to save themselves, that's how I lost myself in the first place. Instead, I wrote a check, covered his medical fees, his counseling, his next semester's tuition, sent it through my lawyer, along with a note, "This covers you until you're 18. After that, we're done. I wish you well. Mom." No signature, no sentiment, just truth. That weekend, I sat by Lady Bird Lake watching the sunset reflect off the water, golden and calm. I used to believe motherhood meant sacrifice. Now I understood it also meant boundaries. I used to think love meant staying. Now I knew it meant letting go when staying would kill you. This version of me didn't beg, didn't explain, didn't prove. This version simply lived, unapologetically, unattached, unbreakable. A few months passed. I heard things, through friends, through whispers at Tyler's school, through the occasional LinkedIn update I didn't ask for. Ryan had moved in with Grace after the divorce, only to find out she wasn't the nurturing soulmate he thought she was. Turns out, fairy tales don't last long when they're built on lies, stolen affection, and unwashed dishes. Grace had quit her job, said she wanted to be a full-time homemaker, except Ryan wasn't earning what he used to. And when the money got tight, so did the affection. I wasn't surprised when I got a call from a mutual friend. "She left him," she whispered. "Took her daughter, emptied his account. He's back at his parents' place. It's bad." I just nodded. Karma has a way of knocking louder than I ever could. A week later, Ryan showed up at my office again, this time looking more desperate than angry. "Sharon," he said softly, "I'm sorry for everything. I should have listened. I should have protected you. I should have valued you. I didn't look up from my laptop. You're a little late. I know, I ruined everything." "No," I said calmly, "you revealed everything. There's a difference." He sat down across from me without permission. "Please. Tyler misses you. He's not doing well. Grace. She manipulated me." I sighed. "Don't blame her. You were a grown man. You made your choices." He leaned forward. "Can we try again? Please, for Tyler." I closed my laptop, finally meeting his eyes. "For Tyler or for you?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. "You're not in love with me, Ryan. You're in love with the version of me who tolerated your crap and made your life easier. She's gone." He swallowed, "But we were a family." I stood up. "No, we were a pattern, one I've broken." He blinked, clearly stunned. Maybe no one had ever told him that before. Maybe he thought I'd always be a fallback. I walked to the door and opened it. "You should go." Ryan stood slowly. "If you change your mind." "I won't." He hesitated for one last moment, then left. And just like that, the last thread unraveled. Later that night, I got an email from Tyler. It was short. "I don't know how to talk to you anymore. I'm angry, but I miss you. I miss when things were normal." I stared at the screen for a while, then I replied, "Me too. But normal was killing me. I hope someday you'll understand why I had to save myself. I love you, but I love me now too." I hit send, and didn't check for a response. On the anniversary of my divorce, I threw myself a celebration, not out of pettiness, but because freedom deserved cake. Matthew brought a bottle of champagne. My new colleagues, now friends, gathered in my loft. We laughed, toasted, danced in bare feet to a playlist that had no sad songs. Someone asked me what I'd call this chapter of my life. Without hesitation, I said, "Reclamation." They nodded, they got it. Because it wasn't just about leaving a marriage. It was about returning to myself. I stood by the window as the party